All right, Shalom. There's the brother Nahal from the GMS Orlando camp. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rokah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasher Allah, and a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath who are believing this word, in all truth and in sincerity. There's Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 8, and it reads, "If thou seest the oppression of the poor, and violent perverting of judgment, and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter, for he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they." All right, I want to go into a lesson through the Spirit on the end of an age. All right, we're at the end of an age, the end of an era, and we know according to prophecy that the next era will be ruled by the one the world ignorantly calls Jesus, whose name is Yahweh Shai, and the Israelites, beginning with the elect, as joint heirs. Prophecy surrounds this moment in time. All right. This is why prophecy is so important, because it points to a particular end of rulership of heathens and the beginning of the kingdom of heaven. Most importantly, the latter. You know, major prophecy always pointed to the end of the rulership of the heathens, particularly Esau. All right. And the reason I say that is because this is 2nd Esdras 6 and 9 in the GNT. Esau represents the end of this age. All right. Esau represents the end of this age, and Jacob represents the beginning of the new age. And there's a new age. All right, that is coming into fruition at the end of this age. And that's why, as the Lord is tearing down the empire of the Edomites, he's also uplifting the empire of Jacob. All right, beginning with the elect. All right, this is why the Lord said this in Luke, the 17th chapter. All right, this is Luke 17, and I'm going to jump down in verse 20, and it reads, "And when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of the Most High should come, he answered them and said, The kingdom of the Most High cometh not with observation, neither shall they say, Lo here or lo there. For behold, the kingdom of the Most High is within you." So it truly begins with this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. All right, this is why the scriptures also say this in Wisdom of Solomon, in the 6th chapter, in the 24th verse. "The multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world, and a wise king is the upholding of the people." So it begins with this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and then it evolves into a kingdom that is made manifest on earth. All right, and this is why the kingdom is described as a kingdom that will never be taken down. And all of the things that we're seeing happen and play out on the earth, whether it be in large concerning the controversy amongst nations, or in small concerning the controversy amongst those who know that they're Israelites, it all encircles this moment. All right, it all points to a moment in time that our forefathers desired to see, the righteous ones. All right, this is Daniel chapter 2 and verse 44. And it reads, "And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever." All right, so the word had always spoken of a kingdom that would never be destroyed. And this is what the kingdom of heaven entails: a righteous rulership on earth that will never be taken down, that will be ruled by Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus, and the nation of Israel, who are joint heirs according to promise, beginning with the elect. And through that rulership, the planet will be inhabited and enjoyed. All right, the world is not enjoyed by people having to stay in traffic for 45 minutes to an hour, going to a place that they don't enjoy. All right, to make money, to barely survive on the earth. That's not why the Lord made the planet. All right, let's go here. This is Isaiah 45. I'm going to jump down to verse 18, and I'm going to read this in the NLT. It says, "For the Lord is God, and he created the heavens and earth and put everything in place. He made the world to be lived in, not to be a place of empty chaos. I am the Lord," he says, "and there is no other." So the Lord didn't make the planet for it to be ruled in chaos, empty chaos, because that's what the planet is right now. All right, you have The earth has been made a wilderness. You think about it, the quality of life in the richest country on the planet is misery, man. Most people are heavily sedated and medicated just to get through this life. And we're just talking about the richest country on the planet. The average American citizen is richer than the majority of the people on the planet Earth, and their lives are miserable. Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, but that's why we were brought over here, for our correction. But at this point, all the nations are suffering. Only a very select few Edomites, all right, or so-called white people actually get to enjoy the planet. These are the elites that the world is privy to. Everybody else is suffering. The Lord didn't make the planet to be lived like this and then it's just over, curtains closed. Think about all the beautiful life that the Lord has created in abundance, from the fish to the birds, all right, to the mammals, even the insects, all these abundant creatures. And the world is not enjoyed. People are stuck in cubicles, saving up to hopefully retire at 65 and live out their days with some kind of luxury and comfort. And that's in the richest country on the planet. It's even worse when you leave the border of Babylon the Great, which is America. And the Lord didn't create the planet for this sake, for it to be for people to live like this. And this is how we know this is the end of an age. All right, let's go here. This is 2nd Ezra 6. I'm going to read this time in the 1611 King James. 2nd Ezra 16 and 9. And it reads, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." Now I'm going to go down, all right, to verse 27. All right, and it reads, "For evil shall be put out," which shows you that Esau's rulership is described as evil. All right, it says, "And deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared." And that's the time that we're now living in. All right, the scriptures describe the end of this age, and we're witnessing it. An age where men will be lovers of themselves via social media, truce breakers, unthankful, unholy. And that's the norm. To attempt to rehearse any acts of righteousness in this world makes you a prey. And that is madness. That the majority of the planet lives in a state of insanity and ridicule those who are sane. All right, this is 2nd Ezra chapter 7. And I want to jump down to verse 43. I start at 42. It says, "He answered me and said, This present life is not the end where much glory doth abide. Therefore have they prayed for the weak. But the day of doom shall be the end of this time." All right, we just read 2nd Ezra 6. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. It says, "And the beginning of the immortality for to come," which shows you the age of Jacob ushers in immortality for the Israelites, because it was promised to the Israelites. All right, matter of fact, to land back that point, this is Ecclesiastes 37 and 25. "The days of the life of man may be numbered, but the days of Israel are innumerable." So we're seeing the Lord highlight through prophecy a moment in time where things will shift, where an age will end and a new age, which can't be fathomed, will be ushered in. All right, this is 2nd Ezra 7. Again, in 43, it says, "But the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past, intemperance is at an end, infidelity is cut off, righteousness is grown, and truth is sprung up." All right, and that's the time we're looking for. One of the points that really sticks out to me in verse 44 is intemperance is at an end. When you deal with the word intemperance, it deals with a lack of self-control. And see, what Esau has done is he's created an environment of excess, all right, concerning possessions and concerning access to unhealthy foods and certain things to a point where people lack self-control. This is why there's an obesity issue, all right, in Babylon the Great, which is in America, because there is no self-control. All right. And we're witnessing the end of it. We're witnessing the consequence of ruling the world in this fashion. And the Lord said, what? This time, this will be the end of this era, or the end of this age, and the beginning of the immortality to come, wherein corruption is past. Because in the kingdom, the truth is going to flow. It's going to cover the earth. Deceit is no longer going to cover the planet. See, the so-called white man was able to flourish in a world full of deceit, where he's able to push a narrative of being the good guy while simultaneously being the villain, exploiting people and justifying it by saying it's democracy and civilization and progress. The Lord said that deceit will be quenched. And in the kingdom of heaven, it says this, Isaiah 11:9, they shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. People are going to understand what death is. They're going to understand the process of death. They're going to understand what is considered food and what is not considered food. All right. They're going to have an understanding of this. It's not going to be based on faith. It's going to be based on knowledge. See, the world accepts Esau's narrative because he has the ruler. He has the rulership seat. And one of the benefits of having the rulership seat is not just access to resources, but you are the controller of information. And in the kingdom of heaven, the law is going to go forth from Zion. All right, this is Isaiah 2:2, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And as we just read in Isaiah the 11th chapter, the knowledge of the Lord is going to cover the earth as the waters cover the sea. And this is what we're hastening to see. All right, because the Lord didn't create the planet and the other planets for that matter, the universe for that matter, for it to be ruled in chaos and wickedness forever. No, this was a moment. All right. And as the scriptures say, the Lord is about to give the planet to one who is profitable. Truly to the one it belongs to. Scripture said it was made for him and by him. All right. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 10 and verse 4. The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. And prophecy is how we track that playing out on the earth, that playing out on the planet. Because understand the kingdom of heaven is a rulership on earth. Contrary to what Christianity has taught the world, it's a rulership on the planet, a righteous rulership. All right. The elect are the first fruits of that kingdom. And the culture, if you will, and the understanding, if you will, on a smaller level is being seen on the elect, the hopeful elect on this side, but truly the elect. Right now, we're rehearsing the righteous acts, but in the kingdom of heaven, this understanding will be perfected. Right now, we're looking through a glass half darkened. So we do our best to offend less concerning the law, statutes, and commandments of the Heavenly Father. But we understand that the kingdom of heaven is going to usher in the perfection of the law being made manifest, not just for us as a nation of people, because we're going to be made perfect. We're going to perform the laws like we breathe. And this is why we're going to be immortal concerning us as Israelites. The other nations are going to benefit from having a righteous rulership. No one's going to steal your land. No one's going to covet your fields and take them by violence. There's going to be no need for that. And they're going to benefit from a righteous rulership where truth is going to spring forth. The so-called white man had no choice but to rule through deception. In Revelation, the 20th chapter, it said he was loose for a season to do what? To deceive the nations. He didn't have a choice. Now, that's his MO. The scriptures say the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go about as soon as they be born speaking lies, roughly paraphrasing. That's his MO. But he doesn't have the ability to rule the earth in righteousness. And that's why we're tracking prophecy so closely, because it points to a time where the fashion of this world will pass away, man. All right, this Revelation 5:9, it says, and they sung a new song, saying, thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof. For thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to God by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, and has made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. And when you deal with the prophecies concerning the destruction of Babylon, all right, the burning of Babylon the Great with fire, that destruction is going to usher in the age of Jacob. All right, Jacob is another euphemism or another name for Israel, the Israelites. And who's the head of that rulership? Yahweh Shai. All right, and that's what we're waiting for. We're hastening the day to see that. All right, and that's why prophecy is so important. And we're in a time of heavy prophecy. Global tensions, everything that we see is ushering in a new age. All right, I'm going to end it with this. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 8:51. And it reads, but understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. For unto you is paradise opened, the tree of life is planted, the time to come is prepared, plenteousness is made ready, a city is builded, and rest is allowed, yea, perfect goodness and wisdom. The root of evil is sealed up from you, weakness and the moth is hid from you, and corruption is fled into hell to be forgotten. Sorrows are past, and in the end is showed the treasure of immortality. All right, so Lord willing, this was edifying. With that, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasha Allah, and a sincere salutation to all Yuakim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath, who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Shalom.